Hey, RC boat fans. Today I've got on the bench for you the Proboat Stealthwake and the Playtron Candy. In an earlier video, I had shared that I had gotten some upgrade parts, and over the winter we were going to be doing some upgrades and improvements on all of our boats to get them ready for spring. So we've got that done. The ponds have defrosted. So we're getting ready to head out and enjoy our boats and hopefully some warmer weather and see if these upgrades have done what we wanted them to do. I'll go into more detail, but just real quick, what we've got is the trim tabs that I originally bought to go on the Candy. I put on the Stealthwake. The water outlet that originally was going to go on the PT boat, actually put on the Stealthwake and painted it white. And then the Stealthwake also has a larger prop. And on the Candy, you can just see a little bit here. I put water cooling in, redid the motor mount, moved the battery a little bit, and still haven't put trim tabs on. So first we'll start with the Stealthwake. So on the Stealthwake, the few things we have added, I forgot to mention before. So the first thing is we have this tow cleat, I guess you could say, on the bow. Again, this was from Offshore Electrics, and I'll have a link in the bottom for all these components. But we put that on the front. This will act as our recovery if we need to. We can, throw a fishing line with a tennis ball or something across the boat, drag it across the bow, it'll catch on here, and we can tow it home. Also, my son wants to put a flag on the front, kind of like my Chris Craft runabout. So we'll see about getting that in. Again, we put the water outlet in the side of the boat instead of just having the silicone tubing poking through. This actually didn't require a lot of changes. So this just threads in. It's a hex head, and with the hole that was already in here for the silicone tubing, I was able to just thread that in. Went in nice and clean and smooth. And then again, just there's a nut on the back of that to hold it in place. And then of course the tubing just slips right over it. It's barbed, so it holds it in place really nice. And then I probably should have gotten the silver one instead of the black one. Probably would have looked a little nicer, but we actually just took some white enamel paint I had from our model trains and painted it, so it doesn't stand out quite as much as the black one did before we got there. The other thing I had mentioned in my PT boat video, I replaced the aluminum water cooling with the homemade copper tubing, and then just cleaned up the plumbing a little bit coming off of the ESC. So that's the changes from the inside. On the back, first thing, and I'll put a picture on here to show you the size difference. This is a 45 millimeter diameter prop. And the other thing we did was we put the trim tabs on that I originally bought for the Candy, but the mounting holes for this specific trim tab set lined up exactly with the holes that were already in there for the Stealthwake. It's not real pretty right now, trim tab and turn fin, so it's all one piece, and I didn't want to get rid of the turn fins, and I didn't want to do anything too permanent, so I just kind of bolted it in place there. This, basically, I just adjust the screw here, and that will actually raise and lower the trim tab to adjust as we're running in the different conditions. So there it is on both sides. And, assuming these work out as I expect, I'll either buy new turn fins or maybe make new ones and kind of keep the original one as is if I ever have to go back to it. So that's the Stealthwake. We haven't made any other major changes to it. We'll have it out on the pond here to see how the new trim tabs and that larger prop handle for us. And then here's the Candy. The Candy I did a lot more work on. I've always had an issue with the motor overheating, so I've always wanted to put in water cooling. So over the winter, I was able to finally do that. So I made a water pickup, this piece of brass tubing that I just cut on an angle. Little mount that just attaches to the screw that actually holds the rudder in place, and then Plumbing goes inside, actually runs underneath here. We go around the motor and then out through the side. Depending on how it works, I may or may not put one of those water outlets like we have on the Stealthwake. This ABS is really thin, so I don't know. This worked out okay. So we'll see how that actually looks and works as we run it. So the other simpler change I made is I moved the position of the battery. As you might remember from earlier videos over the summer, I was having issues with position of the battery and the porpoising of the boat. Originally, the battery sat all the way back inside here. So I put this spacer in, still have a little foam piece here to kind of give me that tension, and then just kind of built up the front here so I can push that battery all the way up here. So that'll move the center of gravity a little bit, and we'll see if that helps with some of the porpoising issues I had. But the biggest change I made, and the most work that this took, was originally there was a big piece of plastic in here that the motor rested in. I was able to get that out. Surprisingly, it was only being held in place by one corner that was still glued. It's 30 years old. At some point, the glue decided to let go. So I got some birch plywood from the hobby shop. I got some spar varnish, which is indoor, well, mostly outdoor varnish for waterproofing that, and then epoxied this plate into place. Then I got myself a motor mount, and then basically that's just screwed on to the plate. The motor mounts up, and then again, still using the universal coupler here. In testing it, it worked. Just bench testing it, and I'm hoping that as I get this out there, I'll be able to actually keep that motor cool and hopefully keep the boat in the water. So that's the upgrades and updates I did to the Candy, and we'll get that in the water next.